New tech, big promises, bold claims. But is it hype? Two retail and commerce veterans cut through the noise and tell you what matters. Manny and Joe, check out.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Manny and Joe's Checkout, a show where we talk every week. We talk about what's happening in retail and commerce and tech and business, and basically help you separate the signal from the noise. So there's a lot happening these days, but before I kind of step into the show, let me give you a little background. Joe and I, hey Joe, welcome back. We used to have a show. We ran, 2017 to 2020? No, 2022, I think.
Yeah, late 22. Yep.
Yep. We had a show called Mo and Joe's Epic Tech Talks. So this is kind of our 2.0 version. We basically learned a lot. A lot of things have changed, like AI, right? We are in different roles now. I think we've matured a little bit. So I'll let you guys know. From my perspective, I've done a lot of work in AI recently. I used to work in EY's AI and data practice, and now I'm at Publicis Sapient, where I'm also part of the connected store practice in the customer experience and innovation area. How about you, Joe? What you been up to?
Well, other than keeping dibs on what you're up to, I've been just wrapped up my second 10-year stint at Omnicom, where I've worked in digital agencies and then commerce agencies and then kind of in Omnicom proper for the last couple of years, overseeing retail media buyers and e-com and social, a bit of retail technology as well, which is a place I know that's near and dear to your heart. But I think both of us, I should also mention that today I am a senior advisor to a commerce agency that's really built AI first, that's just been rebranded and relaunched, called Media Amp.
Right.
CEO is a good friend of mine named Rupesh Desai, so shout out to him. Joined up with those guys as an advisor just a couple of months ago, right when I wrapped up with Omnicom. So what is beautiful about this time for both of us is that there's been so much advancement in AI that we have a lot to talk about. And we got a lot to talk about with news that's current around ChatGPT and e-commerce. But I think that as we do this show, we're going to find every single week that there's an innovation to talk about that would have been unfathomable, for example, when we wrapped up Mo and Joe's Epic Tech Talks just 3 years ago.
Yep.
And so I think we've got a good topic to start with, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that actually you sent me in a chat earlier this week, and I was like, what? Etsy is doing what with OpenAI? Like, what's going on?
Right. Let me give the group the overview. Now, I'm sure some of you may have seen these headlines, but maybe haven't had a chance to go deep into it. So let us be your tour guide, if you will, on this kind of trip through ChatGPT and Etsy and Shopify and so forth. Basically, the headline is, and then I want to go backward a little bit before we go forward. But the headline is Etsy, Shopify, ChatGPT, and Stripe have come together. Stripe's a payment processor. Have come together, or the payment platform, I should say, have come together to enable in-chat checkout for ChatGPT, which I think they call instant checkout, right, Manny?
Yep. Yep.
And why that is innovative is today, if you're to shop, well, I guess before this week, if you were to shop on ChatGPT or any of the other AI-powered chatbots, what you would find is, sure, they do a really good job of pulling in information from the open web and inventory that you could actually link out to products that you had searched for on the chatbots and then buy off-site. Well, what ChatGPT has finally done, and we've seen this coming, but it's really cool to see in person, is that now that cart is alive and well right within your ChatGPT experience. Have you tried it yet, Manny? Have you seen?
I did try it, but before, and I was actually helping. It was helping me shop for a present for you for Christmas, so we can use that. I'll share my screen in a second. But I just want to go back. Let's go back in time. This has been tried before, right? I think voice assistants. Let's spin back the clock to 2014 with Alexa shopping. I mean, that was like the very first thing where people were ordering paper towels over their
Yep.
Alexa, or your very mischievous friends would come in and yell to your Alexa, "I want to buy a gallon of lube," and it would do that for you. Like, I remember a lot of people were playing those kind of jokes around, but
What?
like it seems to me that this has been tried before, so and largely not been successful. So I think you also have Google Assistant did it too. 2017 is when they started it out, but a lot of them failed, and I think a lot of it has to do with the way that the experience was designed. Right, there was no visual confirmation. I mean, like I said, people could just order for you. There was no real security. I know they've worked this out, but I mean, how do you feel about the differences now? Do you
I think
feel
it's. I think it's.
Gonna change?
I think it's. I think you're right about those early use cases, and the reason though that those use cases didn't work is, and you alluded to this, but it's form factor. It's voice versus chat. It's voice versus chat, and by the way, equally as important is you're dealing with the access to all of the open web's e-commerce inventory that has been loaded into ChatGPT.
Yep.
That's the difference. You are a kind of a universal shopping cart at that point. And while right now it's only Etsy and Shopify where you can do this, even the search experience, though, if you go look at for blue Nikes, for example, you're going to find the link, and it's going to take you through a selection tree through conversational commerce. But it very quickly is going to get you to links out to the site. So as soon as ChatGPT opens this up with the willing participation of the retailers or the brands that serve as retailers, like a Nike, for example, you're going to have a lot more integrations. And then the question is going to be, where is that first point of browsing behavior? You know, it used to be Google,
Right.
and then it kind of became Amazon. Will it become ChatGPT? I'm not ready to say that. If I've learned anything, and I think this happens, just maybe you should get a few years under your belt.
Yep.
Is it's that classic sort of adoption curve for technology. There's a pit of despair, and you've got to figure out which technology is going to get out of that pit of despair. Now, I don't think ChatGPT and AI is in that chat of despair, but certain behaviors associated with the chatbots in particular may or may not work. And I
Right.
don't know yet if this is going to be something that people default to or not. But I think if we take people kind of through the example, maybe we can start to have a
Yeah.
better
Let me share my
conversation about it.
screen real quick. So I started this earlier today, where actually right before the show, I was going to basically try to find a present for Joe because I know how much he likes receiving presents. So you can see
really do.
here, it was a very simple prompt, helped me find a present for my friend Joe Scarts. Now, I didn't tell it much about it. I should have done a little bit more on your personality, but it pegged you pretty easily. I know how much you like your corporate gifts, and so it basically gave me executive friendly Etsy picks, right? So if we look here, a personalized pen or a nameplate for your desk, which I think you have quite a few last time I was at your house. So
Right, I do. Yes.
but let's look at I clicked on the personalized pen because I think every person needs that pen with their name on it. Now you can see here it gives you the options. You can pick an engraving option, font options on it. But if I go in here, it also gives kind of an example of why you might like it. And then you can kind of go in and say, okay, let's just go in and let's just pick this one specifically. And then it drops me back in here, but you can kind of go in and say, oh, let's go and pick the option that lets me purchase it. Now, let's say I'm going to get you one with a leather box, I think a nice little package here. And then let's just quickly pick a font option so I can get the best
Well, there you
price.
go.
Yep. Did it work?
Well, it switched it from a $22 pen to a $40 pen, so I feel like that's more acceptable to me.
Yeah.
That's a little nicer.
For your thing. But you can see here it dropped me right back into the cart, right? So I
Right,
should have been
yeah.
signed in, but I think what we're looking at here is just how easy it makes the search happen. You can go in and pick another one, but again, you can start seeing how in the pane it's giving me the options for design, and then I can pick the options here, giving me the rationale why he might like it, and then I can basically go in and if I was signed in, it would basically drop me into the cart. and let me purchase it for you. So it's not terrible. I mean, I think it allows me to reference it. I could go back in the chat if I went really deep and started to saying, oh, let me tell you more about it. And I can put your little LinkedIn thing in here. It'll give me some backlinks here.
Well, that's a really great point. I just want to pause on that for a minute.
Yeah.
There's a because we haven't hit on this maybe as much as should have when I was bringing this up to begin with, but it's also what I think is really important. It's that art of personalization and recommendations based on what ChatGPT knows about you or has been fed about you within the prompt itself. And to put my LinkedIn profile in there is, I suppose, I suppose that's a good place to give ChatGPT some information on me, which might be helpful. And that is also very different, right? I mean, yes, Amazon's got your buying behavior, and in some ways that might be more relevant. But what if I've never bought stationery or pens before? I mean, how much does Amazon really know about perhaps, or know my job or whatever? Anyways, it's another layer that makes ChatGPT commerce so I think potentially interesting. So I'm glad you put that in there.
Yep. Don't worry. I make sure you get the leather one as well. So,
That's good.
But I mean, I think
see you get near the $99 mark.
Do you want leather or do you want pleather? That's the question.
I'll take pleather. That's
Yep.
about.
So if we look at here's a reality check. Who actually wins here, right? Is it the merchants? Is it the Etsy sellers? Like, are we looking at a new distribution channel that just turns on? I mean, it's too early to tell. I like how easy it is to kind of just pop back and forth between the tab. Now, if you're like me, if I'm shopping for someone, what I do is I have like 12 tabs open and I'm looking around at several different things. So it's probably early days on how the entire experience works. But I like the fact that I get the product photos, and then as I change the options, I can see what's different. I can see the fonts that I'm selecting. I remember that in the early days when we worked on Amazon, you and I were working together, everyone was worried about the brand experience and losing control. When you do voice, it's like you're just in this nebulous place. But now I think even in this case, the way ChatGPT is representing it is it's deciding on how to show the products. You don't have any, you still lose control from a brand perspective. And maybe, it would freak a brand manager out a little bit. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so. I think more than any, I think what we've talked about with regard to e-commerce for a long time is the potential for commoditization. And so your comment about brand control is spot on. Like, oh, geez, the TVs are a really good example. There are brand considerations with regard to televisions and consumers that will shop brand first. But many times that's at least a reasonable amount of the cases, those are spec-oriented searches that result in brands being served to you. And in the case of Etsy, of course, there's not a lot of, because a lot of it's homemade or small business. Brand is less important, and you see how it's democratized when brand is not as important through this experience. And so the real question is, as they onboard bigger brands, how will ChatGPT serve their suggestions in a way that are true to the consumer,
right,
and not let's just say overly influenced by the brands themselves? And so I look forward to seeing
a paid feature of what you're getting at. I think it changes the game a little bit.
The advertising's happening, right? It's in the hopper, if you will. So what does that look like in an e-com environment? And I guess the best guess is, of course, that we have sponsored listings and we have some that are not. But that organic component is critical. And see how ChatGPT handles that. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I wonder if people or the brands are going to trust the AI and how, because if you think about it, the AI knows your size, it knows your style, whatever you fed it, and so discovery becomes curation, right? The question now is, will they trust the way the AI is doing it? Because again, you lose all this control that is finely tuned on current e-commerce sites. So that's the big question. Our product page is going to become the end? Is this the end of the product page? Is it? What do
It's
you
a good
think?
question.
Yeah.
It's a really good question because what you saw there were just base assets that were pulled out of product detail pages, but like brand pages, landing pages, curated pages. I don't know. I don't know what ChatGPT is going to do with that, but right now it's product first, I think, and brand second, and I also think that collection third.
Right.
So, you're not getting collection offerings probably unless you're prompting to get a collection. So, say for example, you want to look for like jewelry. Jewelry is a good example of collections. Like you get the I don't know whatever, David Yurman twisted metal collection or mixed metal collection, whatever. but it's this idea that maybe that's a different prompt. Maybe that prompt is, "Hey, I have X. Show me an accompanying Y," and it pulls it in. But what does that mean for somebody that's searching the general category without any collection prompting? So this is really just going to be a different way of shopping, and I think we have to treat it different. You can reuse assets, you can reuse product detail assets, but there's going to have to be some responsiveness to the way that people prompt, and I think that some of that is still evolving.
Yep. I mean, I think if you think about all the money that's been spent on visual merchandising, lifestyle photography, like all the experience design, that would worry me a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
does it still matter for the brand building, or what do you think?
Sure. Yes. No, I think it will.
It
And
doesn't
I
matter
think,
so much for transaction completion, right? They're two different things now. So
no, it doesn't. And also, product discovery, it might mean a little bit less, just because, maybe there's a specific criteria that the consumer was prompting ChatGPT to come back with results that are very narrow, right? And your brand in a situation like that does become commoditized. Now, it could if you don't get if you're not one of the three options. However, it's a major help if you're one of those three options and the consumer has an affinity towards a well-known brand. So it's still plenty of room for it, but I think that absolutely, like without question. But I just think it's we're going to have to engineer this content differently, and we're going to have to think about prompting and the way that people prompt in a way that enables our products to be served up different than a search on a e-commerce site. It's just different. People are more likely to put in their need states, why they want something, sizes, occasions
Yep.
within a ChatGPT than a Amazon, where certainly they're not going to put all that information in, right? So it's I mean, and I'll just last thought on this. It's not spear phishing.
yeah.
So, for years people have talked about spear phishing on Amazon, which, by the way, is a concept I don't entirely agree with. But it's the idea of what you want, you just need to figure out what color you want and what size. ChatGPT is the opposite of that, I think. And I think that
Yeah.
the winners in this space will recognize that it's a higher up the funnel, but it's also not a elongated purchase cycle. I do think people will go from prompt to conversion pretty darn quick. And I think if there's one big takeaway, this is my last thought. I think the potential here is that there will be a lot of products bought this way. I think that the inherent question for marketers is how quickly, because we already talk about this happening, and it has happened, but how much more quickly will ChatGPT and its competitors shorten the purchase cycle by way of responding to prompts and getting consumers all the way to product within seconds? Just something to think about.
No, I agree. I think, my advice, and, we're trying to be very direct here, is go try this yourself. Go to ChatGPT, search for products in the category you're looking for. What shows up? Do some screenshots. Think about how this is going to change your product data. How's it structured? The descriptions. All of that are incredibly important. The way AI is going to start reading this. I think this is early days. This is kind of like where we were with the product marketplace in 2009, right? Is that when Amazon Park Marketplace came out?
Yeah.
Some
Yeah, around that
brands
time.
jumped in head first. Some took a while, but I think this is where we are with this specific thing. Is it's early days. I think we're maybe the customers themselves their behaviors have evolved, and how we look for things. So it's a matter of time. Was this the right decision 5 years from now? You'll figure it out. But I think this is the real test, is going in and kind of taking a look at how your brand is represented when you do this specifically in ChatGPT. Now, there's no, spot. I think it's only Etsy right now that's doing this as far as linking it back to the payment and things like that. So I think the way to look at it is, as you said, is let's go in, do a search for your product in your chat, chat, and see how that works. And then you'll start to probably get some ideas on how this would be impacting where customers are just going to use ChatGPT to search for things and pick it out, and then how it's represented. So that is our 20-minute quick hit signal to noise ratio thing.
There was a lot of signal in there, not a lot of noise. That was
exactly. But I mean, I think the big question is, I asked it straight up: are product pages dying? Probably not yet. I think it's early days. But we are at the beginning of, remember what Amazon Marketplace used to be like 2009. Yeah. So I think that's the way to look at it.
Yes, and then retail media came very soon after that.
That's right.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Thanks everyone for listening to our first ever episode of Manny and Joe's Checkout.
Thanks everybody.